Hi, so which drone is the best, in my opinion? Is it the DJI Mini 2SE or is it the Potensic Atom? Let's find out in this video. So I'm going to rate both of these drones out of 100. This is my honest opinion. I've not been sponsored by these companies or anything like that. I've paid my own money for these, so let's dive straight into it. So I have chose to rate these in 10 categories. The first one will be value, and then it would be battery or battery life, then it'd be photo mode, then it'd be remote, and then it'd be range, signal strength, then it'd be quality of the drone itself, and then it would be the app. Number 8 will be features. Number 9 will be flight performance, and finally image quality. So let's find out now which of these I rate as the better drone. So value for money out of these two drones. Currently you can buy the DJI Mini 2SE fly mod combo for £439, which is fairly expensive, but you do get a lot for your money. You're going to get free batteries, a bag, the charging hub, the drone, obviously the controller. And now the Potensic Atom, you can get the fly mod kit for, well, it varies in price. I've picked mine up for 314, but it varies from 314 to 369. I guess an average price you'd pay is about £330. And again, you get 3 batteries, a nice bag, charging hub. So for value for money, I'm going to give the DJI Mini 2SE 7 out of 10. It's not a bad score. And for the Potensic Atom, I'm going to give 10 out of 10. It's such good value, this drone. It's such a good price for what you get. So now we're going to look at battery performance. So with the Potensic Atom, I've been getting around 24 to 25 minutes out of one battery. And with the DJI Mini 2SE, I've been getting about 18 to 22 minutes. So the battery life, for some reason, is definitely better on the Potensic Atom. Also, I much prefer the batteries on the Potensic Atom because, one, they've got an easy pull-out system with a tab, if you can see that. You literally pull out like so and put it in. It's so simple. Whereas the DJI Mini 2SE has got this door, which is awkward because my batteries are so tight in there, you really struggle to get them out. So I actually don't like that design. But it does its job. There's a slight difference in battery capacity. With the old Potensic Atom battery, it's actually a 2230 milliamp hours. That's 17.18 watt hours. Whereas the DJI battery, you get 2250 milliamp hours, 17.32 watt hours. So there's slightly more power in the DJI battery. As for the two battery hubs, both of these work slightly different. The DJI one, you connect USB-C to charge batteries, but they don't charge all at the same time. They're in sequence, so it'll charge one fully and the next fully and the next fully. So that will take around 240 minutes to charge all 3 batteries, or about 80 minutes for one battery. And you need to supply a plug, either 18 watts or 29 watts according to the DJI website. One good thing about this, you can use it as a power bank. There's a USB-A connector in there, and you can use it as a power bank. Although, to be honest, I'll probably never use that feature. I wouldn't want to wear the batteries out using that as a power bank. Now, I much prefer the batteries on the Potensic Atom. So one, they have a USB-C in the battery. So if you're out in the field, you can just plug each battery in and charge one at a time. And also, because the way you connect this is on like a DC plug, so it actually comes with a plug, and that's a powerful plug. I believe it's 80 watts, and that will charge all 3 batteries at the same time, and that will fully charge all 3 batteries in 90 minutes. So that's such a good feature. You can't use this as a power bank. Both of these have displays. If you push the button, you can see how much battery you got left. Hopefully you can see that. The charging hub on the Potensic is slightly bigger, as you can see. It's wider and it's thicker, a little bit slightly. So the batteries for the DJI, partly due to the design and the fact they don't charge all at the same time, and not a long flight time as the Potensic, I'm giving these 6 out of 10 for the DJI batteries. And the Potensic, I believe that's got the far superior battery system with the USB-C, with the little tabs, charge all at the same time. So I'm giving that 9 out of 10 for batteries. So the next category will be photo mode, and this is where the DJI Mini 2SE really excels, because not only can you basically take a standard picture in JPEG or RAW, it actually comes with a lot more modes. You can do panorama shots, wide angle shots, 180 spheres. Whereas the Potensic Atom is pretty basic on photos. You can do a time shot or a picture. You can still shoot RAW, but that's about it. So the camera on the DJI Mini 2 SE is a little bit wider at 83 degrees field of view, whereas the Potensic has got 78 degrees field of view. Also, the f-stop number on the DJI Mini 2 is f2.8 versus 2.2 on the Atom. So it's going to let slightly more light in, although it's got a smaller sensor. So for photo mode, I'm going to give the DJI Mini 2 SE 8 out of 10. And I'm going to give the Potensic Atom 5 out of 10. Still, they both take great photos. There's just a lot more features in the DJI Mini 2 SE. Now we're going to look at the two remotes. So I actually prefer the DJI Mini 2 SE controller. There's a couple of reasons why. It's got a bigger battery at 5,002 milliamp hours versus 3,000 milliamp hours. It is heavier, around 100 grams heavier. But the thing I really don't like about the Potensic controller, although it feels nicer in the hand when you've got your controller in there, is the lack of a function button. On the DJI Mini 2 SE, this function button up here, I have mine set up to double click to lower the gimbal down and one click to lock the exposure. Also, the DJI Mini 2 SE controller has a built-in speaker, whereas the Potensic controller doesn't have this. And unfortunately, my speaker's only on the bottom, so when my phone's in there, it doesn't sound that great because it sort of, the sound goes into a hole almost. But yeah, both controllers are good, pretty good. They have fully metal control knobs. Both can take a wide variety of phone. And the DJI, you lift it up here. Another thing about the DJI Mini 2 SE, which is so trivial, is the cable gets stored in there. So you're never going to lose your cable. You can just pull it out. It's pretty hard to get out though, like so. Whereas a Potensic, you can't really store the cable in it. Whereas a Potensic, I mean, you could store it like that, but for my bag, that just doesn't go in. So you've got to remove the cable every time and chuck that in your bag. You could potentially lose that. And thanks to one of my viewers on my channel, they've noticed they tried to use a tablet with this. So they used a long USB-C and it wouldn't work. So they contacted Potensic, and Potensic said basically they make these cables only. So you have to use this cable. No other USB-C will do. So you also get a much longer runtime with the DJI Mini 2 SE. To be honest, I barely charge this. Well, I'd like to say it's good for maybe 10 flights. I don't really know though. Whereas the Potensic, I've gone through 3 batteries and I'm down to 1 or 2 lights. So, but it is lighter to use. Quite a bit lighter. It's around 100 grams. Also, the Mini 2 SE has a switch, normal, Cine and Sport. You don't get that with the Atom controller. You have to click on your phone, which is a bit annoying. I'm also not really a fan of the air antennas. The fact you have to move them about. Whereas the DJI Mini 2 SE antenna is this part here. It just works a lot better, I believe. So for the remote, I'm going to give the Atom a solid 6 out of 10. And I'm going to give the DJI Mini 2 SE 7 out of 10 for the remote. And the next thing I'm going to rate is the range and the signal strength. Now, the DJI uses the O2 system and it's dual band, so it's 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz. And this is by far the better signal. Whereas the Potensic Atom is only 2.4 gigahertz. And after I've been flying these for a few months, I can kind of say that although they're both rated at 6 kilometer range, the DJI is basically twice as strong a signal, I believe. Like I was flying in one of my videos about 400 meters out and I was on like 2 bars on the Potensic and still full signal on the DJI. So for signal strength, DJI is the better drone. So I'm going to rate DJI signal strength as 9 out of 10. It's brilliant. Absolutely amazing. I'm going to rate the Potensic 6 out of 10. It's still a good signal. You won't have any issues here in the UK with visual line of flight flying. But yeah, the DJI Mini 2 SE signal strength is better. Next up, the quality of the actual drone. Now, DJI are known for their quality, so there's not a lot to say here. It's just ultimate quality in drones. So I'm going to give that a solid 10 out of 10 for quality. Now the Potensic Atom is just as good in my opinion. I can't see nothing wrong with this. But due to the fact that Potensic is a fairly new company and I've not had the drone that long, I'm going to score the quality for the Potensic at 9 out of 10. Now the app on the DJI Mini 2 SE is far superior in my opinion, and I'm going to show you a few things that you don't get on the Potensic Atom right now. So the first off, the maps, they're a lot more better quality. If I zoom into an area and I'll show you, and remember that quality, that's basically Google Maps. It's as good as Google Maps. Now there's a lot more features on the Mini 2 SE. You can change the gain and the expo tuning. So how fast you want to move the gimbal, how smooth. As you can see here, you've got yaw smoothness, maximum angular velocity. Expo, you can change all this. Gimbal speed, tilt smoothness. No, you can't do this on the Potensic Atom. You can also view what your signal's like if you go into transmission. And you can see there if stable or unstable. So the best thing about the DJI Mini 2 SE app is if you click profile down the bottom and you click more, you can view your flights and your flight plan. So I'm going to click on my last flight, which was distance 700 meters. And you can see exactly where I flew, and you can even play it back and see all the stats. You can fast forward it if I click it. Whereas on the Potensic Atom, you just can't do that. You can't see it for some reason. Now the Potensic app, I mean, it works well, but it is a bit basic compared to the DJI. You still got everything. You've still got the maps, the grid lines. If I zoom into a map right here, it's just not as clear. It must be using some different map software. Also in the menus, there's just not a lot to change, which is good for a beginner. You've got all what you need, but you can't adjust the gimbal rate and all that. You can basically do a compass calibration. You've still got the options to adjust your white balance and put your grid lines on and all that. So you can't see your previous flight, so I'm going to click on the three little lines with dots up the top, and I'm going to click flight log. Although they're there, as you can see, you just can't do nothing with them. You can either upload them to a cloud somewhere, in China obviously, or you can share them to someone. Now this comes up with a Atom drone zip file. So for the quality of the app, I'm going to give the Potensic a 7 out of 10. It's good enough, but it's just missing a few features. Whereas I'm going to give the DJI Mini 2 SE app 9 out of 10. Now on to features. The DJI Mini 2 SE doesn't have a lot of features. Obviously you can record video at 2.7K, you can take some pictures. But apart from that, it's got geofencing, which I actually like. I like to know if I'm in an area, although they've recently removed the geofencing. You can only see major airports at the moment. Whereas the Potensic Atom has got a lot more features. You get visual tracking. If you've watched my videos, you've seen me test that out. You get waypoints, which if you want to get waypoints on another drone, you'd have to go up to the Mini 4 Pro, which is more than double the cost of this. Also, both these drones can do the same quick shots. They may be called something different, but the Potensic does them better because if you're doing a circle around yourself or an object, you can choose the number of times to do it, between 1 and 3. Whereas on the DJI, you just get the option to do it once. I noticed the quick shots are a bit quicker on the DJI, but that's nothing video editing can't sort out, and you can speed it up on the Potensic. So for features, I'm going to give the DJI Mini 2 SE 7 out of 10. And for the Potensic Atom, I'm going to give it 9 out of 10. Yeah, this is a feature-packed drone for the low cost it is. Right, I'm on to how well these fly. There's not a lot to say here. They both fly absolutely amazing. You could literally give this to your grandmother and she could fly it. You can give it to your 10-year-old kid and they can fly it. They just fly absolutely superb. They're not the best in windy conditions, being a sub 250 grams, but you wouldn't really fly in the wind anyway. So I'm going to give these both a solid 10 out of 10 for flying performance. You can't go wrong with either of these. If anything, the Atom's slightly more stable in the air. My Mini 2 SE, and now I don't know if it's just my Mini 2 SE, but it tends to bob around slightly like this, even when it's not windy. I don't really notice it in the video, but I sped a video up a couple of months ago where I was just hovering and the image was just like that a little bit. And finally, we have image quality. Now the DJI Mini 2 SE only shoots in 2.7K, 30 frames a second. It's got a 1/2.3 CMOS sensor, and the bit rate is 40 megabytes per second, which is a good bit rate apparently for 2.7K. Whereas the Potensic Atom shoots in 4K 30 with a 1/3 sensor, and the bit rate on this is 50 megabytes a second. So it's 10 megabytes a second more the bit rate. But I believe that's a little bit on the low side for 4K. But as for the image quality coming out of these two drones, they're pretty much on par. I mean, I've said in a few videos this one's better, then I've said in other videos this one's better. So I'm actually going to rate these the same, and I've got to be careful not to rate these too high, because for future drones I purchase, say if I rate these a 10 and I end up getting a Mini 4 Pro, I can't really rate them both at 10. So for image quality, I'm giving these both a 6 out of 10. So I believe they're pretty much on par with one another. Although this one's got the bigger sensor, this one's got more resolution, this one's got a slower lens, this one's got a faster lens. So the scores are in. So out of 100, the Potensic Atom gets a solid 77 points out of 100. And the DJI Mini 2SE is, again, it's got a solid score of 79 out of 100. So this has got 2 more points than the Potensic, but and this is pretty hard because it depends on the buyer. So if you're into photography, then I would pick the Mini 2SE. If you want a good value drone, good quality drone, I'd go the Potensic. Especially if this is your first drone, you don't want to spend a lot of money. Potensic's over £100 cheaper. So if I didn't own any drones, I'd still find it really difficult to pick between these two. And I feel like the only option is to buy both. Hope you've enjoyed this video. I'm going to put a few videos up here. I'm going to probably put 4 videos down here to check out. One of them will show the image quality between these two drones. Then the other one will show a range test and a battery test these two drones. And I'll put some other 2 random videos on there. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. It may have helped your decision as which one to get. And I will see you on the next one later.